Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to everyone. My name is Catherine Beckett, for those of you who don't know me, and I am the chair of the Law Societies and Justice Department, otherwise known as LSJ. And on behalf of the LSJ faculty and staff, who you can see, we are delighted to join you today to celebrate the commencement of LSJ's phenomenal and path-breaking class of 2021. Congratulations to all. We'd like to begin today by acknowledging the land on which the University of Washington rests as the traditional home of the Coast Salish people and of all the tribes and bands within the Duwamish, Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. We take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers of this land who are with us today and are leaders in the movement to ensure that this land can be used by future generations. It's such a great honor to share this moment with you today because this is one of life's most significant thresholds. We know that many, if not all of you, are excited for something new, and I want to assure you that this will happen. It's increasingly clear that the pandemic will not last forever, and we know that you will find ways to make important contributions to the new world in which we find ourselves. And I'm sure that there are aspects of your life as a student that you are happy to leave behind. I have no doubt, for example, that you are not too upset that you will not be writing yet another analytic paper or have yet another classroom discussion on Zoom in the near future. But we also know that many, if not all of you, are anxious given all of the very real challenges we face. There is just no getting around the fact that this past year has been extraordinarily difficult. We recognize the enormous toll that the pandemic has taken on you and on so many others you love. In addition, as you know, LSJ focuses directly on issues related to law, rights, and justice, and these are the issues that are front and center of renewed protests against racial violence, police brutality, immigration practices and policies that deny human rights, vaccine inequity, and so many more issues. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the gravity of this historical moment and the anguish and the uncertainty that have surrounded us for this past year. And while we can't take away that anxiety, the anger, and the sorrow, I hope what we can do today is take a moment to celebrate what you have accomplished and the resilience that you have shown in doing so. You have persevered and you are graduating despite these circumstances. Some of you are the first in your families to graduate from college. We applaud you all, and especially our first generation graduates, for all that you have accomplished. In our courses, we've tried to underscore the point that you are everywhere and always connected to other people, and that your actions inevitably impact others. Our hope is that we have equipped and inspired you to do your part in making the world at least a little more just. We recognize that you are very different people today than you were when you first arrived here at the University of Washington. We believe that you are better analysts, more skilled at thinking about complex social issues from multiple perspectives. You are better communicators, better able to express complex ideas in both written and verbal communication. And you are better advocates, better able to articulate a vision of justice that resonates with you and to put your skills to use to try to make that vision a reality. To the friends and family of the graduating class who are joining us today, I'd like to extend our gratitude for your role in supporting your graduate to become the scholar and the person they are today. You are undoubtedly consequential, and although it's sometimes invisible to us, the faculty and staff, we appreciate it immensely. I'm sure your graduates do as well. So I'd like to take a moment to pause and thank all the parents and the other wonderful supporters of our graduating class. We're so grateful for the level of trust that you placed in the hands of LSJ faculty and staff, and I'd like to now take a moment to introduce you all to them. I am so fortunate to work with many wonderful people who support and engage our students even under the most trying circumstances. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our fantastic faculty. Faculty, if you could give a quick wave to let folks know who you are. I will begin with Professor Rawan Arar, Professor Rachel Kachowski, Professor Anne Frost, Professor Angelina Godoy, Professor Steve Herbert, Professor Stephen Myers, and Professor Arzu Osanlu. And we are also delighted to have with us in spirit, if not on Zoom, Professors Jamie Mayerfeld, Megan Francis, and Michael McCann, who couldn't be with us here today. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce our sensational staff and extend our deepest thanks for them for making this event possible. They worked very hard to pull this off. Our LSJ administrators, the newest member of the team, Meryl Yang. Meryl does enormously valuable work behind the scenes to keep the entire operation afloat. And to our fantastic advising team, Sasha Lee and Kat Eli. I know many of you know them quite well. And as you know, Kat and Sasha really go the extra mile to make sure that each of you is well served and very supported. And we're so grateful to both of you for that. And this is an especially bittersweet moment because we're saying goodbye to Sasha, who is heading off to Georgetown for graduate school in the fall. Sasha, we're so grateful for your dedication and devotion to our students, and we wish you all the best in your new adventure. And thanks also to Steve Dunn, who is our tech guy and makes sure that all of our computers and all the other confounding machines that we confront daily keep working. We're very grateful for his support. And finally, to our crack videographer, Evan Swope, who has produced some of the fabulous content that we'll be sharing with you today. So for family and friends of the graduates, you may be asking, what is LSJ anyway? I've heard these letters a lot, but I have no idea what it's all about. I'd like to turn it over to some of our graduating seniors who generously offered to share their reflections on what LSJ is and what it has meant to them. We've captured some of them on video describing their reflections and experiences. So here they are.
So I learned about LSJ while I was shopping for majors before I even started here at the UW. And LSJ stood out to me because I did have this interest in the law, but I was curious to know why societies and justice were so equally important to the LSJ major that they shared a name with law.
I first learned about LSJ in my sophomore year of college when I was preparing to sign up for classes for winter quarter. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I thought LSJ was UW's pre-law major, which is not what it is. And it turned out that LSJ 200 is one of my favorite classes that I've ever taken at UW. And I just absolutely loved how engaging the class was.
LSJ is so special because it's so connected to the community. Many of our professors incorporate what's going on out in the world into the classroom and uses it as an example for us to learn from. Through our internships and even just through normal discussions, this major was always centered about how we can be a positive impact in the community and go out into the community and make a positive change. We've not only focused on how we can help people, but also what are the small things we can do to improve the lives of people around us. Our experiences have always gone beyond the classroom, and the work that LSJ does has spread far and wide. And when you go out and talk to people in the community, many of them can tell you about how they've been positively impacted by the work that our professors have done and many of our students have done.
I would describe the LSJ community as passionate, dedicated, and caring. Every student and faculty member that I've come across and interacted with is extremely passionate and dedicated towards seeing change around these issues that we study and discuss on a daily basis. In addition to that, everybody is very caring, not only to those that we aim to serve, but also those within our community. These are topics that are challenging, they're often controversial, and they can weigh on people after grappling them for a long period of time. But the community does, a great job in being there for one another and letting each other know that you're not alone in wanting to fight for this type of change. And that's one way the community has really supported me, just in constantly, reassuring me that there's other people who are passionate about the same things I'm passionate about and want to see the same change in our community and country and the world in general.
So much of my LSJ classes have been about critiquing the current power structures and institutions that are in place on a local, on a national, and on a global level. And one of the things that LSJ does so well is that we also study viable alternative solutions rather than just saying this is the problem and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. The topics and issues that I study as an LSJ major are real. They have legitimate impact on actual people, and the LSJ department takes great care to not forget that.
Since the pandemic started, the LSJ department has gone above and beyond in being supportive for students, and we've all stepped up for one another to support each other and make sure each other feels seen and feels heard and feels like they always have somebody there for them.
So I think the most important skill was how to be creative and think beyond the lines of any discipline. So this really goes back to why LSJ is Law, Societies, and Justice, where it's not just a singular subject. It's not confined to one space. So, you learn about how drugs have created a social dilemma and how that's impacted the legal systems. You also learn how international courts of law can impact the perspectives of people here in the United States. So there's this very fine line between a lot of different disciplines, whether that's politics, international studies, or history, and LSJ teaches you to really tightrope along that line. And so LSJ has taught me to look for unexpected things in unexpected places, and also to look to different disciplines and try to find the connection between all of them.
I'd say the most important skills I've learned through LSJ are interpersonal skills such as patience and leadership. These topics are ones that have solutions that aren't going to be, developed overnight, and there's also the solutions aren't going to be they aren't going to be applied in different communities overnight. These are going to take time to develop and time for things to change. But I've also learned that it's important to celebrate the small victories when they do come, because those are just as important as the big ones.
The most important lesson that I have learned in LSJ has been being open to having my ideas and pre-existing notions challenged. I go into my LSJ courses with lots of questions, expecting lots of answers, and more often than not, I end up leaving with more questions. In my classes, we have very serious conversations about concepts like race and sex and gender and class, and it's remarkable to be able to hear from my peers about their own thoughts, about their personal experiences, and what they have to say about this. And the class discussions have just been so enriching and so intelligent, and I'm continuously challenged and I'm continuously striving to do better. And I've come to realize how important and how rare that is.
Not only has what I learned in class been valuable when it comes to preparing me for working out in the world, but also the community interactions that I've had early on with the support of my professors and my classmates has gotten me ready to go out and made me feel confident to go out and do what needs to be done in the community.
I just want to say that LSJ is really a one-of-a-kind program, and I'd also like to give a special thanks to all the LSJ professors. I believe that a big part of what makes a college student's experience is their professors, and every professor in this department I feel like is extremely enthusiastic about teaching and about the work that they're doing, and I think that rubs off on the students, and it definitely rubbed off on me.
LSJ has really provided me with the opportunity to pursue and grow my passions. So it gives you this chance to make a difference in what you believe in, and I see it all the time in my interactions with my petitioner through the Juvenile Parole Project.
My experience in LSJ will impact my future, in which I will continue to question and I will continue to challenge the current institutions in place in our society. LSJ has left me with a never-ending curiosity and a drive to help others, and I can imagine that's going to stay with me for the rest of my life.
Being in this major has really laid the groundwork to be somebody who's understanding of the different issues that we have going on and it's encouraged me to use my knowledge and my talents to contribute to the solution. So congratulations, the class of 2021. I can't wait to see all the amazing things that you all do.
I've been very proud and very lucky to have been a part of LSJ's community throughout my 4 years.
Congratulations to all my fellow classmates on graduating.
Congratulations to everyone graduating. We did it. Woo! Okay.
Thank you so much to Nitya, Anthony, Minsu, and Emily for sharing those thoughts and reflections. We're really, really grateful for that. Thank you. And for parents and family and friends, now you can see why we so enjoy working with all LSJ majors. It's just been a real pleasure and an honor, even on Zoom, I will say. And while all of our students are wildly impressive and we're immensely proud of everyone this year, we do want to take a moment to acknowledge some of the unique contributions of this year's 4 award recipients, as well as our commencement speaker. Some of my colleagues will be introducing the recipient of each award, and we will start with the Stotland Award, which goes to LSJ's top scholar. My colleague Rachel Kachowski will tell you a little bit about this year's winner. Rachel?
Catherine, you need to turn my video on.
I don't believe I have that power.
I'm getting the message. The co-host has asked you. There we go. Thank you. Now it's going. Excellent. Well, this is an absolute pleasure to be giving this award. This year's 2021 Stotland Award goes to Claire Gupta. Big round of applause. There she is. Claire's academic accolades are many. She's graduating with a BA in LSJ and 2 minors, one in human rights and the other in entrepreneurship. She has a 3.97 GPA. Woo! She's attained honors at the university level through the interdisciplinary honors program, at the college level, and also departmental honors. She's also attained Dean's List status throughout her time here at UW. Most recently, she was nominated by the LSJ department for the highly competitive College of Arts and Sciences 2021 Dean's Medal. I had the pleasure of working closely with Claire during her time here at UW. I had her in 2 courses. I worked with her on an independent research course, and I was also her LSJ thesis honors advisor. Claire stood out immediately to me as a curious and engaged researcher and passionate about working to understand and resolve inequalities. Claire's almost perfect cumulative GPA doesn't come from playing it safe either. She's always striving for a higher level of excellence and achieving it. She engaged in intellectually rich and innovative research during her time here at UW. Her independent research paper revealed the power of international legal processes to bring domestic change in reproductive and health rights. Research she went on to present at the UW Undergraduate Symposium, and it's also now forthcoming in the Jackson School of International Studies Undergraduate Journal. Her honors thesis problematized the role of the United Nations treaty bodies in expanding LGBTIQ+ rights, and involved both historical case law analysis and in-depth interviews with UN lawyers and human rights advocates. Claire is deeply moved by the inequalities law helps perpetuate, but this empathy also motivates her to wield law to better fulfill its promise of equality and justice. Beyond the classroom, she's championed the demand for accessibility of marginalized communities and has an outstanding public service record working with nonprofits, social justice organizations, and the University of Washington to bring real change across the community. From her work with ASUW Student Disability Commission to Outright Action International, Claire has advocated and brought real change in access. One notable example, which you'll experience right here at UW if you go for a tour, is the creation of a new accessible route for UW campus visits. Upon graduation, Claire will be attending UC Berkeley School of Law. While her legacy here will live on at UW, I have no doubt this is just the tip of the iceberg for the change she'll bring in her lifetime. So please join me in congratulating Claire. We're extremely proud of you.
Congratulations to Claire, and thank you, Rachel, for that. Next is the Stromberg Award. This award is named for the first LSJ advisor, Karen Stromberg, and it is given to a student, or in this case, students who have demonstrated a really strong commitment to social justice. And I just want to say this is a tough field because our students really excel in so many ways, including in this dimension. But we do want to honor two different recipients of this award this year. And first, Professor Anne Frost will present our first Stromberg Award winner, Nima Ahmed. Anne?
I am so happy to present this award to Nima. Nima has been an academic star and is a pleasure to always have in the classroom. But one of the most impressive and appreciated aspects of her contribution to the UW is the time that she has devoted to advocating for various people in the community. Nima volunteered at Horn of Africa, which provides resources to the East African immigrant and refugee community in Seattle. There, she tutored children and helped provide a safe space for families to get help and generate community. Nima also volunteered at Roots Homeless Shelter, where she assisted with setting up beds and providing meals for homeless teenagers in the U District. In 2020, she volunteered at the King County Bar Association in the Pro Bono Clinic, which assists people seeking legal advice for cases in family law, immigration, civil rights, and landlord-tenant disputes. Nima's advocacy work has included raising awareness about political prisoners in Nicaragua, becoming a member of the Black Law Student Association, and being a part of the Black Lives Matter movement by organizing on and off campus and helping to create the UW Black Lives Matter chapter. Nima's academic pursuits have also reflected her firm commitment to advocacy. In the summer of 2018, she participated in the LSJ South Africa Study Abroad program, where she studied South Africa's criminal justice system with all of its facets and flaws. She also participated in one of LSJ's book clubs at the Monroe Correctional Complex, where she read and discussed books with a group of UW students and incarcerated men. She currently works with the Juvenile Parole Project, assisting incarcerated people in navigating the parole process by helping draft petitions, create reentry plans, and preparing people for their hearings. I'm so proud to present this award to Nima. It's been an honor to know her, and I can't wait to see what she'll accomplish in the future. Congratulations, Nima.
Congratulations, Nima. Well done. And thank you, Anne, for that. Next up, Professor Steve Herbert will present the second Stromberg Award recipient, Elizabeth Gardner. Steve? You're on mute, Steve.
All right, here we go, Liz. I'm very pleased that the work of Elizabeth Gardner is being recognized with the Karen Stromberg Award. During her time at UW, Liz has managed to achieve a high degree of academic achievement while still devoting a significant amount of time working to advocate for a range of marginalized populations. On the academic achievement front, Liz has been on the Dean's List with impressive consistency, even while pursuing a major in LSJ and minors in both American Indian Studies and political science. I've been lucky to have had Liz in several of my classes, and so this level of academic success is certainly no surprise to me. But it would be a mistake to characterize her UW career solely in these terms. That's because she has done a tremendous amount of work outside the classroom to assist those less fortunate than herself. She has worked, for example, for University Beyond Bars, which provides college-level courses for the inmates at the Washington State Reformatory. For UBB, Liz did work in communications and outreach, trying to ensure the success of a vital but perpetually underfunded nonprofit organization. She did similar work for Governor Jay Inslee's office, helping them to communicate effectively to the wider public during the pandemic. And she has assisted with Team Child, a local youth advocacy organization. This interest in advocacy has motivated some of Liz's classroom work. Like Nima, she was part of a group of students who spent this academic year assisting with individuals who are preparing to see Washington's parole board for potential release for crimes they committed while they were teenagers. For this effort, the students were placed in pairs and then assigned to work with an attorney from the LSJ alumni community. Liz and her fellow student were given a particularly challenging case to work on. And unsurprisingly, despite the twists and turns of that case, Liz managed to adapt as necessary to ensure the highest level of support for this particular individual. It is not a surprise that Liz's work and energy is being recognized in the coming early stages of her post-BA life. Team Child might make the wise decision to hire her into a paid position, but she won't be there for long because she will be headed in the fall to the Big Apple, where she will be a member of the New York City Urban Fellows Program, which centers on public policy. It's been a great pleasure for me to get to know Elizabeth Gardner over the past few years and to work closely with her. I have been consistently impressed with her energy and her devotion and her willingness to go beyond the call to assist others. I am certain that that energy and devotion will prepare her toward ever more impactful work in the future. Congratulations, Liz.
Congratulations, Liz. That's very exciting. And thank you, Steve. Great. And then our final award, and last but not at all least, is the Community Service Award, which this year will go to Andre Laws Menchavez, and my colleague Angelina Godoy will present this award. Angelina?
Thank you, Catherine. I'm pleased to present the Community Service Award to Andre Laws Menchavez. I haven't, unfortunately, had the pleasure of teaching Andre in the classroom, but I did serve this year on the LSJ Awards Committee and was so impressed by all of the students who were nominated for awards, and particularly by Andre's accomplishments. So it's hard to sum them up in just a few words, but I will try. He's a student who excels in not only the classroom, but in taking his learning and his commitments beyond the classroom. He describes himself as a Seattle-based Filipinx, Indigenous and queer activist and journalist. And one of the things that most impressed me about Andre was the way his accomplishments transcended campus life and indeed surpassed any one single cause or effort. Though if I had to put one term around his work or one umbrella term, I'd say it all seems to me to be about intersectionality and empowerment. Much of Andre's work has involved mentoring others, especially helping students of color adjust to the university. He worked as an educator activist and a mentor through the ASUW Leaders Program. He's been active with a wide swath of student organizations, from the Filipino American Student Association to the UW Hip Hop Student Association and others, often organizing fundraisers or community events to lift up the contributions of marginalized groups on campus and in the community. And this same commitment is evident in his off-campus work. For example, he has served as a member of the Washington State LGBTQ Commission. Andres also distinguished himself as a journalist. He's written for many organizations, including the UW Daily, where his coverage of the Black Student Union's demands of the UW administration was recognized by the Society of Professional Journalists with its 2020 Mark of Excellence Award. He's also written for Queer Space magazine, the National Association of LGBTQ Journalists, and GLAAD, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. And in fact, for GLAAD, he was tasked with interviewing the 2020 Democratic candidates for president, including Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, on camera, and only given 48 hours to prepare for such a task. That's an impressive feat, to say the least. But Andre's key motivation in journalism, I would say from what I've read of his work, is not about proximity to power. Rather, it's about creating space for those whose voices have too often been dismissed so that they can build their own power. He describes his work as motivated by the desire to be the person he wishes he'd had growing up, when his contributions were often systematically devalued as a result of his identity. Andre will be leaving UW to attend the University of Southern California, where he will obtain a master's in journalism, specializing in social justice reporting. And I have no doubt we'll be hearing from him in the years to come. Congratulations, Andre.
Congratulations, Andre, and to Claire, Nima, and Liz. We're so proud of you and of all of you. We know you've done so much this year. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce to you this year's student commencement speaker, Haley McLean. Haley is well known among LSJ faculty, staff, and students for her maturity, her academic brilliance, her generosity of spirit, and her commitment to racial and social justice. I first got to know Haley a little over a year ago and spent the first 15 minutes or so with her in my office hours under the impression that she was a graduate student because she carried herself with such composure and had such remarkable things to say. Haley has been very busy. She has achieved very close to a 4.0 GPA in her time year, and she's been conducting really important and path-breaking research in two different ways. One project is aimed at supporting efforts to protect the rights of immigrants, and another to advance transformative change in the criminal legal system. I can attest, as I said, that she's a delight in the classroom, and as one of my colleagues put it to me, it is so wonderful when you are the instructor and you see Haley's hand go up because you know that her contribution will be productive and generative and enlightening. And I'm just so thrilled that she's agreed this year to serve as our student commencement speaker. So we will bring you Haley McLean.
Thank you so much for that warm and generous welcome, Professor Beckett. Hello, everyone. My name is Haley McLean, and I will humbly be serving as your student convocation speaker this year. It is truly an honor to be with you all in this space. When Professor Beckett offered me the opportunity to deliver this speech, she asked me to do two things: reflect on my experiences as a student in the Law, Societies, and Justice program, and to express a few thoughts on what those reflections mean moving forward into the world. I will now take them in turn. First, I imagine that many of us here today have shared motivations for why we decided to pursue a degree in the LSJ program. For me, I was seeking a smaller, more intimate department to offset the size of a large institution such as the University of Washington. I knew that I wanted to be a positive force for change and that I wanted to study under a faculty that are both brilliant and beyond that brilliance have worked in their respective fields agitating for a more just and habitable world. Upon admittance to the program, I can safely say that I was not prepared for what I was about to learn. I was not prepared to meet the incredible folks that I have or to experience nearly this level of personal growth. The interdisciplinary nature of the LSJ department asks us all to stretch our patterns of thinking, and more importantly, to stretch the boundaries of our imagination. The law is everywhere, we are told. Our society produces different life chances and life expectancies based on arbitrary distinctions, and that justice is granted to few. These are difficult truths to conceptualize, to wrestle with, and to contest, as for many of us, we have grown up in an age of purported equality, in a meritocracy. What is more, these truths seemed antithetical to familiar notions which declared any failure of the system which managed to puncture our collective consciousness to be an exception to the rule, an aberration, and not rooted in the construction of these institutions, not deeply wedded to the lived reality of scores of people all around us. Turning to my will for the future, I must admit that after the initial excitement from Professor Beckett's email asking me to deliver this speech wore off, I almost immediately began to feel out of my depth. So I began to employ some of the training I have received over the past 2 years, and I researched. I mined the internet for commencement speeches given by those folks who I so look up to. And what I found is that they often spoke of justice and of hope. In a commencement speech delivered to Oberlin College, Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "There is nothing more tragic than to sleep through a revolution." And we are seeing now all over this globe, people fighting to build the world they want to live in. From America to Palestine, from Africa to Hong Kong, India to Colombia, people are fighting back against anti-Black or racialized policing in the prison industrial complex, against settler colonial regimes and apartheid violence, against capitalism and militarism. And when they fight for absence, they also fight for presence. They are fighting for a meaningful democracy, the power to identify as one sees fit, for overdue liberation. And this list is not wholly comprehensive. These are just a few sites of resistance to name. Now, I did not come here to guilt you all into taking on the world's problems, nor am I here to suggest that you log off of this Zoom graduation to solve the struggles that have ebbed and flowed for centuries like some sort of mini imperialist. But I will ask you to center directly impacted people when they reach across the gulf asking us to amplify their struggle. I am asking you to name oppression in whatever form it takes. I am asking you to have the courage to challenge neoliberal capitalist logics, which coalesce around a cycle of classifying individuals and communities, extracting their resources, and discarding the bones. I am asking you to believe in self-determination and to imagine capaciously what another world might look like, for it is ours to build, and build beyond mere substitutions of the evils we experience today. In terms of hope, Toni Morrison has said, if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then it is your job to empower somebody else. We should not mistake hope for a more cheery form of acquiescence. Hope is a discipline. Hope can be defiant. Hope is the act of building the conditions or the infrastructure for the type of future we wish to have, even if for now, that vision is still only in our heads. Thus, it is my hope for this graduating class that we will take our knowledge and our imaginations out into this world to empower all racialized, colonized, and invisibilized peoples with the understanding that freedom is a constant struggle, a struggle that we will be working towards for generations to come, a struggle which may bear limited fruit in our lifetime. But I know the seeds we sow will someday wrestle out of the ground, and that harvest will be radically life-affirming. To close, I want to thank each and every person who has made this moment possible. To everyone who has lifted me up on this journey, to everyone who believed in my voice, to my family, my partner, and my friends, to professors, teaching assistants, and my fellow junior scholars. And to the class of 2021, this graduation may not have taken the form that we would have hoped, but congratulations. No one can ever take this from you.
Thank you so much, Haley. We really appreciate that. Thank you for those wise words. It's a bittersweet moment to say goodbye. Now we're going to turn to that part of the celebration where we really take a moment to acknowledge each and every graduate. All of you have accomplished so much, and we're so proud of each and every one of you. Feel free to use the social media functions or chat function in Zoom to recognize, celebrate, embarrass your friends and your colleagues. And with that, I will turn it over to the students.
Thank you to the LSJ faculty for teaching me and all of us LSJ students how to advocate for ourselves and to take action on the issues that we care about. To the advising staff, Kat and Sasha, you have both been so helpful and incredible. And finally, to my family, thank you for the opportunity to have this education. You've all been incredible these past 4 years, and particularly this last year. So to my mom and my dad and my brother Skylar, thank you for your endless support and love.
I just wanted to say thank you so much to my amazing family members. Shout out to my mom and to Gigi for reading all my essays. I know there were a lot, but thank you so much. Thank you also to my wonderful friends for supporting me throughout this whole process. Love all of you. And to my professors for getting me so passionate about prison reform, the Supreme Court, and comparative legal studies, all of which I'm really hoping to study more in the future, and I'm really excited. So thank you so much.
I just wanted to say hello and thank you to everybody in the LSJ community, especially those that have helped me personally. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Professor Osanolo. Thank you, Professor Frost and Professor Herbert. You guys have really been amazing and really helped me think. And I wouldn't be going down the path I am today without you guys. Thank you so much. And congratulations to the rest of the class of 2021.
Hi, my name is Samantha Eden. As my time as a UW student comes to an end, I want to thank my incredible parents and my sister for their unconditional love and encouragement. I also want to thank the LSJ faculty and staff for their support and guidance throughout my academic career. LSJ was one of the primary reasons I chose UW, and it has truly exceeded my expectations. Thank you to your dedication and inspiring your students to cultivate a more equitable and just world.
I'd love to thank all of the LSJ professors and TAs that I had while at UW for being such great educators and so passionate about what they teach, because it really was contagious and it made me really passionate about everything that I was learning. It made me excited to learn, and I really appreciate that.
I'd also like to thank my family, Mom, Dad, and Allison, and Wesley. Thank you so much for supporting me, and I really appreciate it, and I love you.
As I graduate, I want to thank my mom and my dad for supporting me throughout college and for always encouraging me to work hard. I also want to thank my roommates and my best friends for making my time at UW so amazing and for always motivating me to do my best. Go Dogs!
Hi everybody, the LSJ department was one of the main reasons I chose UW and has truly exceeded my expectations. Thank you to my friends, family, and professors for all their support throughout the years. In particular, thank you to Dr. Rachel Chakowski and Megan McCloskey for advising me on my thesis as well as inspiring my interest in research and passion for international human rights. I cannot thank you all enough. Go Dogs!
I'm Halal, and what I really enjoyed about LSJ was the really small, tight-knit community feel the classes had, the really involved professors that felt like they really cared about what you were learning. What I also really enjoyed was that we were able to really critically think about a lot of topics that I never thought I'd really talk about or speak about with anyone before, and I really enjoyed that. LSJ is really going to help me after college by helping me direct myself in the areas I want to go to further my careers.
Hi, I'm Elise Jacobson, and I'm really thankful for LSJ. First and foremost, because I met my best friend Ryan in freshman year, Professor Frost's class, and we've been best friends ever since. And I've just met so many amazing people. The teachers are so great, and I've learned to really critically think about important issues and figured out what I want to do with my future.
Special shout out to Professor Osanlu and Professor Frost. You guys were our two favorite professors. Thank you so much for everything.
You're awesome. Thanks for putting up with us when we were in your classes together.
Thank you. Great wishes.
I just wanted to say thank you to Stephen Herbert, a wonderful, dedicated, passionate professor in the LSJ department. And especially thank you for creating the juvenile parole project that I was lucky enough to be involved with this past year. I have never felt more fulfilled in my life, and it is a great opportunity to put my passions and education into direct action. So thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Kanoshta. I just want to say thank you to my friends and family who supported me during my academic career at UW, also to the LSJ professors, UW faculty, and also to our academic advisors who have been so wonderful and helped me to learn and grow over the past 4 years. And finally, just a shout out to my classmates and peers in the LSJ department who have made the experience very unforgettable. Congrats, everybody!
I'm Jake, and I'd like to first thank my mom and my brothers for all their support throughout college, as well as making home a place that I look forward to coming back whenever I have time off. I'd also like to thank my friends, and especially my girlfriend Madison, for keeping me grounded throughout the time I've been here. And finally, to Emily Willard, who not only taught one of my favorite classes, but who also engaged me in some really interesting work outside of class as well. So thank you, LSJ.
First, I would like to thank my family for being supportive throughout my journey at the UW. I would not have been able to accomplish my goals and ambitions without their love and support. I would then like to thank the professors, especially Professor Francis during her class in LSJ 361 in Courts and Civil Liberties, which was very eye-opening for me, and it taught me very much about how law is impacted in society, especially people of color. I would like to thank the staff, the TAs throughout the LSJ department who have taught me to understand law and how it practices in society. I would like to thank all the friends that I've made at the UW. So thank you. I can't wait to see what's next in my life. And yeah.
As I graduate, I want to thank a few people. First, my parents, Pam and Paul, my siblings, Joe and Rose, my grandparents, my loving partner, all 7 of my housemates, and a few amazing people from LSJ, particularly Professor Beckett, Professor Arar, and my advisor Sasha, who have been an immense help in getting through these 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the LSJ department for an amazing experience. To Kat and Sasha, you guys are great advisors. Thank you so much for your hard work. And to all the professors that I've had who have inspired me, thank you so much for caring about your students. A special shout out to Angelina Godoy, who always shares her important work with her students and lets us take a share in that. And lastly, thank you to my family, not only for supporting me over the last 4 years, but for having me back home this year. I love you guys.
name is Manal. I'd like to thank my family for all of the support that they've given me over the last few years. I'd like to thank all of the amazing professors that I've had for challenging my way of thinking and for giving me the tools to advocate for issues that I care about. I'd also like to thank everyone I've met through the LSJ community for being some of the most compassionate, intelligent, motivated, and inspiring people that I've ever met, and I'm so grateful.
Well, there you have it, the class of 2021. We're so proud of all of you. As I mentioned earlier, this event really represents a passage across a threshold or a shift from one place to another. And while this shift always involves entry into a new world, the world you are entering as a college graduate is not one that any of you probably could have imagined a few years ago. We can't sugarcoat this. There's no doubt that graduating in the context of a global pandemic and associated crises pose some challenges. But I'm so happy and proud to report that neither the pandemic nor other recent events have diminished the resilience and the generosity of spirit that you've shown over and over again. You've continued to show up in your classes and to work to deepen your understanding of the complex and often maddening world we live in, and to assist other students in doing the same. In this extraordinarily difficult context, many of you have continued to work to support yourself and even your families as you completed your degree. Some of you have been helping to care for younger siblings and older relatives. Some of you have been working hard to ensure that LSJ lives up to its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to support first-generation students with their applications to the major. Others of you have been working alongside LSJ alums to ensure that people who were sent to prison for crimes they committed as a child have a fair shot at a hearing. Some of you have taken concrete steps to advance the rights of immigrants, including those who are at risk of COVID in detention facilities. And some of you have been preparing an amicus brief to be submitted to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights aimed at generating new protections for the rights of children. This list goes on and on. Through these kinds of activities, you have shown yourself to possess what theologian Walter Brueggemann calls a prophetic imagination, a fearless commitment to truth-telling combined with fierce hope. Hope that our efforts to create a more just and inclusive world matter, and that despite what sometimes feels like overwhelming evidence to the contrary, the world is amenable to change. These qualities, as well as the resilience, the courage, and the generosity you have shown, will see you through this and other challenges that life throws your way. We are confident that you will continue to make a difference in your families, in your communities, and in your countries as you find ways to express and pursue your vision of justice. We hope that as you embark on these journeys, you will take with you another cornerstone of LSJ, an insistence on thinking about social issues and problems and their solutions complexly and from multiple points of view. Be willing to ask the hard questions, even when doing so is discouraged. For as Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. And as you embark on this journey, please know that you are not alone. You have lived through and graduated in the midst of historically unprecedented times, and it is my fervent hope that you will continue to support each other even as you forge diverse paths. By virtue of having graduated, you have also joined the broader community, otherwise known as the LSJ alumni community. And as you may have heard, LSJ alums are doing some pretty fantastic work in the world. We hope you will continue to draw support from and contribute to this community in the years ahead. Have no fear, we will be in touch and probably sooner than you expect. And we hope that you will stay in touch with us as well. We so look forward to hearing about and supporting you in all of your future adventures. And with that, faculty, if you'd like to unmute and release your cameras, please join me in welcoming and congratulating the entire class of 2021. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. And celebrate safely with your friends.
Congratulations, everyone. Great job.
Woo!
Yeah. Woo!
Have a great afternoon, and please celebrate safely. We're so proud of all of you. Take care.